Behind the closed doors of the United States Department of Defense, military officials manage billions in foreign funding and navigate highly classified alliances. On May 2, 2011, those alliances were put to an extreme test. U.S. Navy SEALs launched a top-secret midnight operation across a foreign border. As the team prepared to drop into the dark, the intelligence suggested they would be searching for their target in a series of rugged caves. Instead, they found Osama bin Laden living completely comfortably in a massive, highly secured mansion. This compound was sitting right in the middle of a populated city, located just a few blocks from Pakistan's premier military academy. A sovereign ally was caught hiding a primary enemy. Yet the American government chose to maintain ties, continuing to send billions in taxpayer dollars to the very military leaders who had overseen that territory. Fast forward to the current political landscape, where the America First movement has built a massive voter base on the promise of strict isolationism. Right now, Donald Trump's running mate, Vance, is facing an intense backlash from those exact supporters. Voters are questioning his ongoing diplomatic relationships with the top brass of Pakistan's military apparatus. Specifically, the spotlight has landed on his connections to the current leader of that military force, General Asim Munir. While the public base demands absolute transparency and a break from foreign entanglements, quiet diplomatic handshakes continue off-camera. American leadership is actively risking the fury of its own political base to protect an alliance with a military force that has a documented history of broken trust. To understand the calculation, you have to look outward. The current geopolitical landscape is incredibly volatile, with multiple nations preparing for the possibility of a massive regional war. Iran is aggressively posturing its armed forces and actively drawing hard red lines against American influence across the hemisphere. This map highlights the traditional Arab nations the U.S. has relied on for decades to project power and maintain stability. But those alliances are shifting. Several are openly backing out of coalitions, refusing to fight Iran-backed factions. At the same time, the escalating conflict between Israel and Lebanon is pulling further resources and attention, heavily destabilizing the borders. With old partners stepping away and conflict spreading, the United States military is facing a massive, expanding strategic void. The geography requires a foothold. Without its traditional alliances, American leadership is forced to look for new, necessary leverage to keep a grip on the region. In global statecraft, this leads to the necessity of the double game, publicly opposing a nation's actions while secretly relying on them for mutual, quiet benefits. Today, the Pakistani military acts as that final backdoor channel for U.S. operations and intelligence gathering across South Asia. Looking at this geographic data map, Pakistan sits exactly as a physical wedge. It is the last remaining piece of land blocking Chinese expansion routes on one side and Iranian influence on the other. Viewed through this lens, Vance's diplomatic maneuvers are a deliberate execution of geographic strategy, securing a necessary buffer zone. The military-industrial complex operates on a brutal logic. Survival does not require you to trust the leadership of your allies. It only requires you to control their geography. There is a wide gap between the loud, theatrical debates happening outside the United States Capitol and the quiet machinery of government strategy operating inside. Even as MAGA voters demand answers and threaten political consequences, the flow of money has not stopped. Covert military deals and funding streams remain active. That is because the defense establishment answers to the relentless pressure of global geography, operating completely independent of domestic outrage or partisan sentiment. Vance's political future now depends on how he navigates this exact gap. He has to balance the strict demands of his voter base against the geographic needs of the military. It leaves American citizens having to reconcile a deeply uncomfortable reality. To maintain global influence, their tax dollars are funding a foreign military with a dark, untrustworthy history. Superpowers rarely have the luxury of permanent friends or moral purity. When the map demands control, survival relies exclusively on permanent interests.